I never thought I'd live to see the day my own daughter would pretend I didn't exist. But that's exactly where life brought me. My name is Laura Bennett, and for most of my life, I'll believe that love, sacrifice, and patience were enough to hold a family together. I gave everything I had to raise my daughter, Maya, my only child. I raised her alone after her father passed away when she was just 8. I worked double shifts, skipped meals, and sometimes cried myself to sleep, but I never complained. I wanted her to have the kind of childhood I never did. And for years, I thought I succeeded. Maya was brilliant, the kind of kid every mother dreams of. Straight A's, polite, soft-spoken, loved by everyone. She used to sit beside me at night, showing me her school projects, asking for advice, and promising that one day she'd make me proud. But people change, and sometimes they change in ways you never see coming. It started with small things. At first, she became distant, too busy to talk, too distracted to sit for dinner. I told myself it was normal teenage behavior. She's growing up, I thought. Let her breathe. But then her tone started changing too. Little sarcasm slipped into her words, disrespect that she'd never shown before. I remember one night I called her to help me fix the kitchen light. She barely looked up from her phone. "Mom, can't you just YouTube it?" she said, without even glancing at me. It hit me harder than it should have, because this wasn't the girl who used to rush to help me, who used to hold my hand whenever I felt tired. Still, I let it slide, because that's what mothers do. They forgive, even when they're breaking inside. But things didn't stop there. When she turned 21, Maya started dating a guy named Ethan. At first, I was happy for her. He seemed polite, mature, well-spoken, but there was something in his eyes, something cold, something calculating. Every time I tried to talk to him, I felt like he was measuring me, like I was an obstacle in his way. After that, Maya started visiting home less often. Calls became text became silence. Months passed like that. And then one afternoon, I saw something that made my blood run cold. I was on Facebook, scrolling through photos, when I noticed something strange. Maya had posted pictures of her new housewarming party. Dozens of guests, balloons, champagne, laughter. But what caught my eye wasn't the party itself. It was the caption. At first, I thought it was some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe she wrote it metaphorically. Maybe she didn't mean it literally. So I called her. No answer. I texted. No reply. I even emailed her. Nothing. For days, I sat staring at my phone, wondering what I had done wrong. Finally, I decided to visit her apartment. When I arrived, I could hear music inside. People were laughing. I knocked on the door, softly at first, then louder. The door opened halfway. Ethan stood there. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice dripping with fake politeness. "I'm here to see my daughter," I said quietly. He smirked. "Sorry, Laura, Maya's not home. And even if she was, she wouldn't want to see you." My heart sank. "Why would you say that?" He leaned closer. "Because you're not part of her life anymore. It's better for everyone if you accept that." Then he shut the door. Just like that. The laughter inside continued as if I'd never existed. That night, I sat in my car outside their apartment complex, watching the lights flicker through her window. I saw shadows moving, people drinking, laughing. My daughter was in there somewhere, pretending her mother didn't exist. And I couldn't help but ask myself, how did we get here? I raised her with love. I sacrificed everything, and now I was a ghost. But that's when something shifted inside me. If my own daughter wanted to erase me, then I needed to find out why. The next morning, I started digging. I called one of Maya's childhood friends, Rachel, who still lived nearby. When I asked her about Maya, she hesitated. Laura, I don't know if I should be the one to tell you this. Please, Rachel, I just want to understand. She sighed. Maya's been telling people you stole from her father, that you took money meant for her education. She says you ruined everything. I froze. It wasn't true. Not a single word. When Maya's father, Daniel, passed away, I had worked day and night to save for her college. I even sold our old house just to make sure she could attend her dream university. But someone had turned her against me, and I had a feeling who. A few days later, I decided to go see Maya again, but this time I wasn't going to knock politely. I waited until Ethan left for work. Then I approached the building and pressed the buzzer until she finally came down, her face pale when she saw me standing there. Mom, she whispered, almost like the word hurt her lips. I just want to talk, I said softly. Please. She hesitated, but let me in. Her apartment was beautiful, too beautiful for someone her age. Designer furniture, polished floors, paintings on the wall. It didn't feel like hers. It felt like his. We sat down. Maya, I began, my voice trembling. Why did you tell people I was dead? Her eyes filled with tears, but not guilt. Anger. You wouldn't understand. You were never there for me. My chest tightened. Never there? Maya, I was there for everything. Every exam, every fever, every nightmare. I was there when your father... Stop, she snapped. Don't talk about him. You took his money. You ruined everything. Ethan told me everything. There it was, the poison. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to tell her the truth, but she wouldn't listen. She stood up, tears streaming down her face, and said something I'll never forget. You're not my mother anymore. Those words broke me more than death ever could. I walked out silently, my hands trembling, my heart barely beating. But as I reached the elevator, I heard her phone ring. She didn't notice I was still near the doorway. It was Ethan, and his words froze me in place. Good job, babe, he said over the speaker. Once everything's transferred to your name, we'll finally be free. Transferred? What was he talking about? That's when I realized this wasn't just about lies. It was about something bigger, something I needed to uncover before it was too late. I didn't sleep that night. Ethan's words kept echoing in my head. Once everything's transferred to your name, we'll finally be free. Transferred what? Money? Property? What had he manipulated my daughter into doing? I sat by the window until dawn, clutching the old photo of Maya as a child, smiling, innocent, her little hand wrapped around my finger. I whispered to that photo, "What happened to you, baby? What did he do to you?" By sunrise, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to let this go. The next morning, I went straight to the bank where Daniel and I used to have our joint savings. The same one where Maya's trust fund was created years ago. The manager, an older man named Mr. Collins, still remembered me. "Laura Bennett," he said kindly. "It's been a while. What brings you here?" I forced a smile. "I just need some details about my late husband's trust account, the one under my daughter's name." He hesitated. "I'm afraid that account was recently modified, Mrs. Bennett. Your name has been officially removed as co-trustee." My heart skipped a beat. Removed? When? He clicked on his computer. "About
3 weeks ago, by legal authorization, apparently signed by your daughter and her husband. Husband? I repeated. Maya's not married. Mr. Collins frowned. The paperwork lists a marriage certificate. Ethan Walker. It's legitimate. I felt my knees go weak. She married him. Secretly. And now he had access to everything Daniel left behind. Everything meant for her future. I thanked Mr. Collins and stepped outside, the cold air burning my lungs. My mind was spinning, but a single thought cut through it all. If Ethan had forged that marriage or manipulated Maya into signing legal documents, there had to be proof, and I was going to find it. That night, I went back to their building. I waited until the lights in their apartment went out, then slipped quietly into the lobby. The security guard recognized me from before. I'd often brought Maya food when she lived there alone. "Good evening, Mrs. Bennett," he said. "Maya hasn't come home yet." "That's fine," I replied. "I just dropped by to leave something for her." He smiled and let me pass. I took the elevator up to the 7th floor. My heart pounded as I reached her door. Through the narrow gap under it, I could see faint light. Someone was home, probably Ethan. Then I heard it. Voices. "She has no idea," Ethan said. Another man replied, "You're sure her mom won't show up again?" Ethan laughed softly. "If she does, we'll handle it. Once the final transfer is complete, Laura Bennett won't exist on paper anywhere." Won't exist on paper. He wasn't just taking her money. He was erasing me legally. I backed away, my pulse racing. I needed evidence, proof, something that would hold up if I went to the authorities. That's when I remembered something. Daniel's old attorney, Mr. Grayson, he'd handled all the estate documents after my husband's passing. Maybe he still had copies. The next morning, I went straight to his office. He looked up from his desk, surprised. "Laura!" "It's been years." "Mr. Grayson, I need your help," I said, my voice trembling. "Someone is tampering with my husband's trust fund, possibly my daughter and her husband." He adjusted his glasses. "That's a serious accusation. Do you have any reason to believe so?" I told him everything. The Facebook post, Ethan's manipulation, the fake marriage, the bank changes. He listened quietly, then opened an old drawer and pulled out Daniel's original documents. "If what you're saying is true, then the new papers must be forged. Your late husband's will clearly states that no transfer can occur without both trustees' consent, yours and your daughter's. So if Ethan managed to remove my name, he did it illegally," Mr. Grayson finished. "But proving that will require access to the new documents." "Can you get them?" I asked. He smiled slightly. "I know someone at the county records office. Give me a day." That night, for the first time in months, I slept with a little hope. It wasn't much, but it was something. The next day, Mr. Grayson called. "Laura, meet me at my office. I found something you need to see." When I arrived, he handed me a folder. Inside were scanned copies of the so-called marriage certificate and trust transfer authorization. Both had my daughter's signature and mine. Except I never signed them. He pointed to the bottom of the page. "Notice anything strange?" I leaned in. My supposed signature was dated April 17th. That was the same day I was in the hospital, recovering from surgery. "Forgery," I whispered. Grayson nodded grimly. "Ethan probably forged your signature and used your daughter's trust to make the transfer. The marriage certificate looks fake too, filed through an out-of-state clerk's office. It's not even registered locally." I felt a wave of anger. not just at Ethan, but at the fact that my daughter had trusted him enough to let this happen. That night, I called Maya again. This time, she answered, her voice cold, irritated. "What do you want, Mom?" "Maya, listen to me carefully," I said. "Ethan forged my signature. He's stealing from you, from your father." "Stop lying," she shouted. "You're just jealous because I'm finally happy." I tried to stay calm. "Sweetheart, please, go to your bank. Ask to see the documents. Look at the date next to my name. I was in the hospital that day." There was silence on the line. For a moment, I thought she'd hang up. Then she said, almost in a whisper, "I'll check. But if you're lying again, I'll never speak to you." The call ended. I didn't know if she'd actually go, but I prayed she would. 3 days later, I got a call. Unknown number. When I answered, it was Maya. She was crying. "Mom," she said through sobs, "you were right. He forged everything. He took the money, the house, everything. He even transferred my college savings into his account." I closed my eyes. My throat tightened. "Where are you now?" I asked. "At the police station. They said they're looking for him. He's disappeared." My heart broke for her. No mother wants to see her child in pain, even if that same child once erased her existence. "Come home," I whispered. "Please, Maya, just come home."
That evening, she did. When she arrived, she looked nothing like the confident young woman I once knew. Her eyes were red, her hands trembling. She collapsed into my arms and cried like she was 8 years old again. "I'm sorry, Mom," she whispered. "I was so stupid. He told me you hated me, that you blamed me for Dad's death. I believed him." I held her tight. "You were manipulated, Maya. It's not your fault." "But I said such horrible things to you," she said between tears. "I told people you were dead." I brushed her hair gently. You can't erase a mother's love, no matter how hard someone tries. For weeks, the police searched for Ethan. Turns out he had been running similar scams for years, targeting women with inheritances or trust funds, convincing them to sign documents and disappearing once the transfers were complete. Maya gave a full statement. With Grayson's help, we provided all the evidence: the fake marriage certificate, the forged signatures, and even the bank recordings. It took months, but eventually Ethan was caught trying to flee the country under a different name. Justice, it seemed, had finally found its way. When the court case ended, the judge ruled in our favor. Every asset Ethan stole was returned to Maya, including Daniel's trust fund and the house he had tried to seize. But the real victory wasn't the money. It was the silence that followed, the peace in our home that I hadn't felt in years. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, Maya said something that stayed with me forever. "Mom, I thought I lost everything, but the truth is, I almost lost you. And that would have been the biggest mistake of my life." I smiled faintly, my eyes glistening. "We all make mistakes, sweetheart. What matters is that we find our way back." She nodded, leaning her head on my shoulder, just like she used to when she was a child. Weeks passed, and life slowly began to feel normal again. We cooked together, laughed again, and rebuilt what was broken. But even then,
A part of me still carried the pain of those days, the pain of being erased by the very person I gave life to. And yet, it also gave me strength, because I realized something. Love doesn't disappear when someone tries to erase it. It just waits, quietly, patiently, for the truth to bring it back. Months later, I received a small letter from the correctional facility where Ethan was being held. It was addressed to Maya. She opened it hesitantly. Inside was a short note in his handwriting. "You won, but remember, the past can always be rewritten." Maya tore it in half without a word. Then she looked at me and said, "No, it can't. Not this time." And for the first time in years, I knew my daughter truly saw me again. Sometimes, the people we love the most can be blinded by manipulation. Sometimes, the lies are so deep that they bury the truth for years. But love, real love, always finds a way back through the cracks. You can erase a name, a signature, or even a memory, but you can never erase the bond between a mother and a child. Because even when the world forgets you, a mother's heart never does.